Hi there everybody, on today's wrestling news video we cover the sudden and tragic passing of WWE star Bray Wyatt, Windham Rotunda, at just 36 years old. This horrible situation went public through Triple H, of course, of WWE, who posted on X that he had spoken to Bray's father, Mike Rotunda, who confirmed that Bray had passed away at this horribly young age. For us, like in the UK time zone, just it's truly awful to wake up to, and like I can only imagine that those who were experiencing this story as it kind of unfolded live were probably in a shocked sense of disbelief. Kind of, it's unspeakably sad and horrible. But we'll just go through some of the details here, and then we'll share some of our thoughts on what's happened. Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful posted to X last night. I'll just read the tweet to you guys. I was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Windham Rotunda got COVID that exacerbated a heart issue. There was a lot of positive progress towards a return and his recovery. Unfortunately, today he suffered a heart attack and passed away. Obviously, Windham had been off WWE television since February. At the time, it was reported that he was suffering from some undisclosed health issues, respecting the privacy of Bray and his family, which is to be respected and admired. Fightful reported more recently that the situation was life-threatening, and that he'd been hospitalized at one point. But again, noting progress towards a return. At the same time, I believe there was a line in there about WWE being very, very careful to protect his long-term health in any return plans, which is obviously the top priority. Yesterday, he suffers this sudden heart attack and he passes away. The most important thing in situations like this, for me, I think, to consider is the people most affected by this, which, of course, he's survived by his partner, Jojo Hoffernan, and 4 children. His wider wrestling family is gigantic. These are names that will resonate with a lot of people, obviously, in this space. People like his brother, Bo Dallas, his father, Mike, obviously, his uncles, Barry Windham and Kendall Windham. But he is a guy who clearly touched a lot of people, and you need only look at the devotion and the commitment that he inspired, even in his fans, to kind of understand that. So at this stage, I just think it's important for us to consider all of that, and we at WhatCulture, obviously, in the strongest possible terms, offer our deepest thoughts, condolences and sympathies to his friends, to his family, and to those impacted by this at just a really horrible time. And I think if you want to kind of demonstrate the breadth of love that this guy inspired in people, some of the tributes that have come through really speak to that.
Yeah, it's not an understatement to suggest that the wrestling world is in mourning. You know, I include us, you guys watching, and indeed, like many of the people that Windham worked with over his career, there was official tributes from WWE and AEW that paid great tribute to his career, and you know, from many friends that he'd worked with from behind the scenes. There was also some wrestlers that worked very close with him that offered their tributes on social media as the news broke. Braun Strowman, of course, a member of the Wyatt family, a guy that was kind of Bray was integral to when he arrived in WWE. He posted, 8 years ago I joined you as your black sheep. If I only knew 8 short years later I would have to say goodbye, I sure as hell wouldn't have taken so much for granted. You were my best friend, my mentor, my big little brother, my brother of destruction. You were there for my highs and my lows as I was for yours. You taught me so many things in the business we shared and loved, and you taught me so much in life. You truly made me a better person. I was honoured the day I found out you were having Nash and you asked me to be his godfather. That's of course Bray's son with Jojo. Windham, you were one of a kind with a great mind and an even better soul. The world has lost an amazing man. My heart is with the Rotunda family, Jojo and the babies. I love you all so much. I'll see you down the road, my friend. Slap Brody on the ass for me when you see him. I know this isn't bye forever. I love you, hoot. Alexa Bliss, another one who had like several years alongside Bray and has previously spoken glowingly about the time she spent with him in WWE. She tweeted a picture of the two of them from one of the times together in the Thunderdome, and she said, I'm just in shock. Extremely heartbroken and at a loss of words. What I can say is what an amazing human being Windham is, an amazing and kind friend, one of those creative minds to ever walk the earth. Windham, you brought so much joy and happiness to everyone around you. there was the likes of Cody Rhodes and The Rock leaving their tributes. They'd obviously worked with him, and of course, coming from wrestling families, it's a lot more united than it sometimes looks. I think there's a lot of shared experiences. There was also a very nice message from Big E, who noted that he said, quote, "The first dude that took me under his wing when I got signed in 2009, we spent so much of our adult lives together, praying for JoJo, playing for his kids. I will miss your laugh and your boyish charm, my friend. Goodbye, Windham." Baron Corbin, William Regal, Mick Foley, the tributes are pouring in, and they're going to do for days and weeks and months, of course. There was, from across in AEW, there were obviously multiple members of the roster. Ricky Starks, one-of-a-kind talent, rest easy, a person beloved by many. Saraya said, "I can't believe I'm typing this, but R.I.P. Windham. I knew day one you were moving to America. When I was moving to America, you were the biggest sweetheart and were loved by everyone who met you. I'm in shock. Sending my love to the Rotunda family." And Amanda Huber, of course, the widow of the late Brody Lee, tweeting, "I have no words. I'm devastated." And Matt Hardy, and there was just a comment from Swerve Strickland as well. I think it's worth mentioning. He tweeted, obviously both in support to Bray Wyatt, and I think it's, with the passing of Terry Funk on Thursday, it's been a difficult week. Horrible. I think in our community, and he tweeted saying, "We need to stop only coming together when we lose someone," and I think those are quite powerful thoughts. I'm sure it'll be echoed by everybody watching and listening here today as well.
100%. And if you're wondering if there's a way you can assist the family, if you can assist JoJo and the kids, WWE have provided that. They've announced that all proceeds from merchandise sales for Bray's merch through their shop at the very least will go to the family to support them. They've added this line to every product basically. So in the wake of Bray Wyatt's death, WWE will donate all net proceeds to support JoJo Offerman and Bray's children. So if you are able to and you want to help the family out in that way, that option's available to you. It's the US shop site, the Euro site as well. It's all there. And here we are. It's a really, really shocking, frankly, thing to sit here and talk about today. I think, particularly in the wake of the recent reporting, we were all kind of thinking about potential comebacks and Bray being on the mend, and something like this happening so suddenly just shows how fragile.
You don't think of this
exactly.
Like we don't, when we talk about returns and we talk about stuff that ultimately now just simply doesn't matter. You don't think of this as an out. He's 36 years old. He was 36.
That's it. It's like 36 years old, man. Like, that's no age whatsoever, and the void he's going to leave behind is impossible to describe within the confines of this format. I think, and again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the connections this man forged really do speak for themselves. You hear it in the words of his colleagues, and just some lovely, lovely tributes pouring through in the wake of this tragic situation. I've seen a bunch of videos, for example, posted on various platforms this morning of just Bray being really nice to children and stuff, and like opening his heart to people he'd only just met, and stuff like this really just goes beyond wrestling things, but like his connection with his devoted fans was really second to none. I've said so many times on this on this platform that people didn't just like Bray Wyatt, they loved Bray Wyatt. You were not half in on the guy, you were all the way in. And it also reflects in things like every single time Bray was active, his merch sales were through the roof. And if you think to his most recent return to WWE, where in that return segment on SmackDown, where he wasn't playing a character or anything, he was giving you Windham Rotunda. And that was coming through in his words. And he was breaking up on the microphone. And that connection really felt deeper than ever before at that stage. And
people don't follow a white rabbit unless they want to follow it to the every end, and they did. That was so effective because it was him. You couldn't have done that kind of campaign with any coming back wrestler.
Precisely. It could only work with him. And in terms of like sharing our kind of favorite experiences with Bray, we are two of the least important people in this story, I think. I always go back to discovering the cult leader character in the first place in NXT. And he just felt like such a unique thing to be happening in WWE, and that it was kind of happening on this kind of developmental show that hadn't really taken full flight yet. It kind of made you think like you were part of this like underground club almost. And then of course he comes to the main roster, and you have like the great Wyatt family trios matches and everything else, and you go through the full evolution of that character to what it eventually became in his most recent appearances and through the release and everything. But one specific moment that always stands out in my mind is literally him calling the shot for the Roman Reigns spear. It was an episode of Raw, wasn't it?
Yeah, they would have been lifetime enemies. Anyone but you, Roman, but tonight we'll work together.
We'll push together, and they were fighting the League of Nations in that tag match. It's one of the coolest moments, I think, in WWE of the past decade. And at the time, it kind of felt like I wanted a babyface push-off coming out of that. But there are many, many more. Many people will have their own personal moments when it comes to
Firefly Funhouse for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch that today. That encapsulates Bray's WWE career in one single match, and the brand of creativity, as you say, those that liked it, loved it, and that came when fans couldn't be in buildings, and to be able to slap that onto the product and make it special and WrestleMania feeling, I think was making the very best use of that sort of character.
There was really like one of maybe the best example of like subverting the wrestling art form within itself that I can possibly think of, and that couldn't come from anyone else.
No.
Nobody else could have applied those ideas in such an effective way, in the way it like reconstructed everything about Bray and deconstructed the things that people disliked about John Cena.
Yeah.
Like, and it showed a lot of awareness on John's behalf, I think, to be the participant in that. But yeah, it's a really difficult situation to encapsulate. A lot of people everywhere will be hurting a lot right now, and I think we'll wrap it up there, to be honest. Thank you for your time today. Share your thoughts, share your memories on Bray Wyatt down in the comment section below. If you met him in real life, if you had any interactions with him, I'd love to hear those stories. Those are the ones that affect the most. And once again, our deepest thoughts, condolences, and sympathies to Jojo, to his children, to his friends, to his family, to anyone touched by this man in his life. 36 years old. This is horrible. It's devastating news, and we wish all the best to those impacted by it directly or indirectly. Thanks. We'll see you later.